Far too many resellers are missing a very important fact about offers, auctions, and your pricing structure in general. Hey, it's Don. Today I wanted to address some of the pricing, some of the issues many people are having. Now, we do bins, buy it nows, on the majority of our items. I mean, probably 99% of everything we sell is sold through a bin of one sort or another. We also have best offer options on every listing that we have in our store as well. I even try to put them on if we do an auction as well, even if it costs a few cents more. I think it's still worth having that feature in there. Now, the biggest fact that a lot of people miss is a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Now, if you don't know what that means, that basically means I would rather have money in my hand than hoping later on that there might be twice that some other way, or if I hold on long enough, I can get twice that amount for it. Now, sometimes that may be the case. If you hold on for a long enough time, you may actually get quite a bit more money for some items. But that's very rare in this day and age with a lot of the items that you may be selling, you may be listing. Now, a lot of this also plays into how much you have invested into the item itself. If I have nothing really into an item, I'll take far less for the item than I normally would for something that, say, I've got $100 invested into. If I have something listed for $200 and I only have $1 into it, I'll be more prone to take, say, a $100 offer, $125 offer, or something along that line. Now, again, if I have $100 invested in that item, I'm not really going to want to just sell it for a $20, $25 profit. Hopefully you looked it up before you bought it and you know that that $100 will get you $100 back or whatever the amount is that you want out of that item. Now, we run our items pretty much indefinitely. They stay in our store until they sell. The longer something stays in our store, the less I will be wanting out of that specific item. It's just the way of the nature of running this business. If something's been up for a few years and I haven't had any decent offer on it, again, I'm going to take less for the item than my original list price. Now, I don't lower the list price of any items, even if it's been up for a while. I do run the sales constantly. I will accept a lesser offer on those items, though. So I play into the fact that if they've been up for long enough, been up for many years, chances are there's a very limited amount of people that would be interested in it at any price in some cases. So when it comes to those long tail items, a bird in the hand is always worth more than two in the bush, in my opinion. I would rather have cash out of something that's been sitting there for a long time than, again, waiting even longer in hopes of getting a better offer. Now, if you just list something and you get a bunch of offers on it, again, I wouldn't sell it cheap at all. You've got to play the game. This is a game to me. I'm trying to win it at all costs. So again, it does all come down to how much you have into the item, how long the item has been up. Now, in most cases, if it's a moderately decent item, I'm going to counter at least a few bucks more to get a couple more dollars out of the person. So let's say I list something for $200. I get an offer coming in for $150. I may shoot back at, say, $160, $159, or somewhere in that range. Again, I'll be looking at how much I physically have invested into that item. Once it's up, I have nothing else into the item, so it's only my initial time, my initial expense into those specific items. Now, we also buy in bulk, so the longer that something's been up, the less I will have into anything in those bulk purchases because I've sold other things that I purchased at the exact same time. So I may purchase 100 cards, I may sell 2 cards, get all my money back and double my investment and still have 98 cards left to sell. So if I blow out some of those cards or take a lesser value on some of those cards, it's not going to do me any harm whatsoever. If you don't have a ton of listings, you may not want to do that. But if you're going to hold out for the very highest amount, the very top dollar, or you don't even offer best offers, you're going to be missing out on a lot of sales, especially if stuff has been up in your store for any length of time. The longer something's been up in your store, the more chances a potential buyer have to buy from somebody else. So if you have something that's been up in your store for a year or two, and you never went back to revisit those items to see what's going on with those items, you may be missing a key aspect of why it's not selling. There could be somebody else who flooded the market with those exact same items, lowering the value that somebody would be willing to pay for your item. So you've got to play all this into consideration when you're doing it. When an offer comes in our behalf and into our store, and it's something that's been up for a little while, I usually do a quick comp search on that item before I will ever accept the offer. In some cases, I have, let's say, again, a $200 list price on an item. I may have turned down an offer for a year ago for $125, but now there's a bunch more that are in there that I can price it more effectively, so I may consider a $125 offer on that item a year later. It just, again, depends on the item itself. So if you're looking through your offers and you're not going back and double checking the ones that have been up for a while, you may be refusing offers that are well within the range of what those items are going for right this minute. Sometimes as well, you'll find that the price may have actually went up, and using a few special keywords or changing things around a little bit can still get you that top dollar out of the item. This is another reason why I do list everything with best offer option on it. That best offer option gives the buyer a potential opportunity to get it for a little less. They feel a little better about it. They might get it at what they would think is a deal as well. Now, with that best offer option I have on it, I do price my items higher than I expect to get out of most of them. I do a 3x pricing structure. So the bottom end is what I expect to get out of the item. At the very, very bottom end, my price that I list on that item would be 3x that price. 3x the very bottom of what I expect to get out of it. That's my price structure on most of our items. That gives me playroom. That allows me to accept best offer. Now, if you're selling something that's vintage or collectible or antique and you're not using a best offer and you don't know for sure that that item is positively worth this amount or that amount, you may be doing yourself a disservice. You may be turning off people. You may have it priced $20 higher than everybody else, and if you're not willing to compromise, it may take you one heck of a long time to sell it, or it may not sell at all. So if you're like us and you run your items for infinity, you just leave them up, you put a price on them, and you let it go. When that offer comes in, you do want to go back and double check what the standpoint is of that specific item. Just like when I'm researching prices. Sometimes I won't be able to find a single price anywhere on some items. I set those aside. A year later, I may come back and go, wow, hey, there's prices for it now. It's one of those things you need to actually pay attention to. Now, as I said, with the 3x price structure, you always have room to play. You have movement room, so you can accept some offers, you can counter, and all that sort of thing. It depends on what you sell, of course. If you're selling, say, a piece of clothing, a t-shirt or something, everybody knows what a standard shirt, standard pair of pants costs from any specific maker if that's what they're looking for. Like a pair of Levi's, for example. You can go and buy them brand new for a said price almost anywhere in the country. So if you want to price something like that, you have to be comparable to what everybody else is selling. If you're selling in a niche or collectibles, you can price higher than that. There's many items, though, that you can't do that to. As I said, clothing is a very good example of that. Video games, another good example of that. Common stuff, like common comic books and stuff. There's tons of them out there. So everybody can kind of figure out and find prices on them. You don't price those higher. Your goal is to figure out which items that you can price at a specific amount versus the ones you can price higher and accept offers and play around with best offer options. It gives you the room. It gives you the room to run sales. This all plays into perceived value. If I put an item at, say, $200, I run a sale for 20% off. It's now marked at $160-ish or so. I can still accept a best offer. If I listed it at $200, I don't expect to get that $200 out of it. I would rather take a little less of an offer and have that cash in hand than not, truthfully. Again, I usually counter back, though, 99 cents, $1.99, $5.99, $9.99, depending on the value of the item. If it's a $20 item, I may only counter back at 99 cents. My counterbacks on stuff that have been up for a long time is very small, but it's just enough to get a few extra dollars out of those items. Again, it's a game. It's a game. There's rules to the game that you create for yourself based on your selling experience, from my personal opinion. We've done this for a very long time, decades. So I've learned the rules of the game. I've learned what I can get away with and what I can't get away with on pricing structure. That is a key aspect that a lot of folks don't understand. If they list something for $200 without a best offer and everybody else is selling it for $175, chances are you're not going to sell your item. So if you're not going to have best offer options on your listing, you got to make sure that your listings are priced comparatively to what everybody else has on them. Otherwise, you will be the highest one out there with no extra reason to buy yours over theirs. We have more than come to the conclusion that best offer option works far better with a higher price than any other structure that we do. Auctions these days, I make far less money than I ever do on best offers. And we just tried some recently on 2 runs, and I did far better the minute I flipped them back over to buy it now options with best offer. I made more than my initial list price as an auction on both runs of those auctions that we did run as well. So you've got to be careful and diligent with your offers. If the offer you're getting is fairly close to what you have on it, there is no sense whatsoever in trying to hold out for an extra $5 or $10 at all. Now, another thing that I see is people will have a set price on their item. They'll have best offer marked on them, but they'll only want $1 or $2 less than their initial list price. Say they got a $100 item, they're only willing to go down to $98. If you're going to put best offer on your item, you have to be able to at least offer a perceived value discount when you accept a best offer. $2 isn't going to cut it on a $100 item. 20% or more would be the best bet to do on that, because it has far better results than any other structure we ever do. When we run sales and markdowns, I started at 20% right off the board. A 5 or 10% discount usually is not enough to draw somebody in at all. That's not a huge perceived value. It's not a huge perceived discount. But the minute you get into 20 or higher, they just start to come in fairly regularly, the offers you can get on some items. So having a price structure that allows you to play the game where you can mess around with the prices is the best way to do it. Again, 3x for us. It works the best in niche items and most of the collectibles that we sell. Again, I don't mind having something sit in my store for a very long time, years, a decade. It's not going to hurt me at all because we have quantity. Even if you don't have quantity, though, you'll want to move some items. Revenue coming in is always better than having stuff sit there, hoping again to get 5 or 10 more bucks out of your item. Don't always assume that you have to get every single dollar out of every single item, because that is going to hurt you. It is going to cost you sales. It is going to hurt your revenue in the long run. You won't be considered somebody who can wheel and deal. You won't be someone who will give them a discount. They won't see the perceived value in your store at all. That's again why I use best offer and buy it now on everything. Well, that's about it for today. Hopefully that gave you some ideas, some thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
If you love almonds,
Almonds? Yeah.
really love almonds,
I do.
I do.
I do.
you'll love the Mars Almond Bar. So many almonds, you get an almond in every bite.
An almond in every bite. Right. Yeah.
Plus real milk chocolate. So get an almond in every bite. Mars Almond Bar. And now Mars Sprint Bar and Mars Crunchy Chocolate Bar. The best chocolate on earth comes from Mars.